Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Dappz Live. It is a beautiful Thursday for football, and who other than one of the worst teams in the NFC versus one of the best teams in the NFC. The Commanders are playing the Packers tonight. And this, honestly, is the football that we deserve. I'm not being a Packers hater, all right? I don't like the rhetoric that the Packers are the lead in the NFC. I'm not buying it until they prove it. Who did they beat last week? Dill, the Lions? Is that correct?
Yeah, they beat the Lions.
Which is kind of impressive.
Yeah, it's actually rhetoric.
What did I say?
Something wrong.
You know, I don't know if it's my New York and how, tomato with this guy, but there's a lot of words that he believes he says correctly, right? Because he grew up in sunny California. If we could all be so blessed.
The Packers are minus 3.5 favorites.
The Packers are minus 3.5 favorites. Line opened at 1.5, and I'm educating our bearded friend over here about how gambling works. And I explained to him last week that the over/under of the Bills-Ravens game came out at around 48.5. Sunday, I check it. It's all the way at 51.5. Everybody's hammering the over. And I'm like, when you see a point spread move that much, 3 points, it's almost a guaranteed victory. And as we saw, an alt over of 80 would have covered on the Bills-Ravens game. Now, this is not as big of a movement. I know you might say, Dappz, 3 points, 2 points, what's the difference? There's a big difference. And if you don't believe me, when you lose a bet on a 7.5 point spread because the game ended by a touchdown, that's how big a half point is, right? So, Packers opened as the favorite 1.5. They've moved to 3.5. I'm thinking a lot of people think the Packers are going to win. I'm staying away from the spread. No chance I'm betting the spread of this game. I think the Packers can win. I think the Commanders can win. My heart wants to bet on the Commanders. Okay? Dill, do you have any action on this game?
I have Matthew Golden over. This is a fantasy bet. I need to will this to happen, but it is irrational. And I also do think you're a coward for not betting this line.
He wants me to bet every game, every line, every over-under, every spread. We have plenty of prop picks. Don't worry, we'll get into those. Now, it's funny because some people are saying this is a big game for both of these teams. This is an I'm not effing around game. That's not what this is. This is week 2, okay? This is week 2. It doesn't matter. This game does not matter. The Packers can win. The Commanders can win. Either team is fine for the rest of the season. What's cool is I think there's a lot of people later in the season, NFL fans, you're going to see a Jaguars-Titans game. You're going to see a Colts-Dolphins game. You're going to see a lot of really bad Thursday night football. This is what the NFL does to us. I don't know why they do it. It usually happens from week 7 to 14. This is a great game. This is the opposite of that. By the way, last week, another Eagles-Cowboys game. We've been blessed with some incredible Thursday night football to start off the year. This is one of those games where I woke up this morning, went to sleep last night, okay, opened Prime Video to throw on Forensic Files. You know, that's what I watch before I go to sleep.
Yeah,
people say I'm mentally disturbed, whatever.
Just death and murder, yeah.
Yeah, that's not what we're going to talk about on this show.
Yeah.
But throw it on, and the graphic, because it was post-midnight, right? So the graphic is Thursday Night Football, and I'm looking at it, and I'm going, football's back, baby.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't understand why the NFL doesn't give us maybe the second or third best game on Thursdays. It doesn't make any sense to me why they would throw the Jags and the Dolphins on Thursday. You want people to watch it, right? You can put the Jags and the Dolphins at the 10 a.m. slot on Sunday. There are plenty of good games dancing around it. People will still watch.
And with these algos that spit out all these different, you could literally just put into ChatGPT now, like, hey, give me 100 different NFL schedules this year with no conflicts. The NFL doesn't even need to think about this anymore. Listen, I understand if you say, hey, I want a primetime game with these two quarterbacks, one of them gets injured early in the season or traded or whatever happens, and then you end up with a good team against a bad team. But when do we ever think the Jaguars-Titans is a good game?
No one ever does. And also, Roger Goodell does not know how to use large language models, and that's just a fact.
That's a fact.
That's a fact.
Speaking of large language models, whoever wins this game is going to cement themselves as a top 3 team. Is that what you believe, Dylan?
I do think that if the Commanders beat the Packers, the narrative on ESPN and the wires will be considering them as a top 3 team, and likewise the other way. I mean, the heat is already on the Packers after the demolition of the Lions, so they're already in top 3 conversation. If they beat Jayden Daniels and the Commanders, they will remain there. I think this is a big hype game.
Well, I think that we have a lot of interesting players in this game. Fat man, Deebo Samuel.
Fat
thick.
Deebo.
He's a thick boy.
Yeah.
He's a thicky boy.
He's dense.
He's dense. Puts up close to 20 fantasy points week 1. Is this something we think we're going to expect from Deebo on a week-to-week basis? Or do you think Deebo's more of like a touchdown one week, kind of a dud the next week, boom or bust kind of guy?
I mean, he may have a chip on his shoulder. Who knows? He may be playing harder. He really is. I think his fantasy points go up and down depending on successful runs. He is always schemed to run the ball. I don't understand because he's not good at it, but that's usually how he finds his way into the end zone.
That's interesting take, Dill. Interesting take.
Yeah.
Going on to somebody who is great at running the ball, Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels, every single game this year, if you're taking him anytime touchdown, I think it is as close to a lock as you could have. He is just so good with the ball. He's so good with the play breaks down. He's going to get you 10 yards. He might get you 20 yards, right? And that just is going to lead to defenses having to be playing on their heels. And also, if you're in the red zone, this is just a situation where Jayden Daniels drops back to pass and creates something with his legs. And it also makes you crowd the box if you want to hand it off to little Bill, all right? You crowd the box, they do a play action, now you're screwed. Are you going to commit to going to Jayden, or are you going to commit to the receiver?
It's an absolute nightmare. Let me give you a couple quarterbacks. You tell me if he's better at running than they are. Jalen Hurts.
He's definitely better at running than Jalen Hurts.
Really?
Really.
Justin Fields.
I'm going to give it to Jayden.
Lamar Jackson.
No, absolutely not. Okay. There's nobody better. And I don't think he's better at running than Josh Allen either.
And finally, Josh Allen.
Yeah. So Josh and Lamar still 1-2 until Jayden dethrones them. But listen, Jayden, again, year 2, like this could be the year that he surpasses Lamar. He's not better than him right now, but if he did, is anybody surprised? I don't think so. Let's move over to Terry McLaurin. Comes out week 1, holdout, not getting paid, finally gets paid a week before the season, 3 fantasy points. Obviously, that's not going to happen on a week-to-week basis. Jayden missed him on a throw, which is a timing issue, which I think maybe doesn't happen if he is at training camp. Their rhythm is a little bit better.
Yeah.
I think Scary Terry is going to be a monster this year. The question is, do you think he bounces back this game?
Yeah, 100%. One of the most valuable stacks in fantasy. He took a lot of people to the championship last year. I don't get why you can't just practice a little bit with the team while you're holding out. Why do you have to be a poopy pants and just completely kick your feet up? It's unprofessional.
Yeah, maybe you just show up to practice. You're like, all right, Jayden, throw me the ball 10 times. All right, cool.
Then
rhythm.
leave.
I'm leaving.
Then leave.
Boom,
right.
boom. I'm going to grab lunch.
But get the rhythm.
Yeah. I like that. Now let's move on to Bill, my favorite nickname in the entire league. It's not even close.
He gave it to himself.
He gave it to himself. This guy, Krosky Merritt, I mean, just call him Bill. And the way I say it in my head, I don't know if you remember Kill Bill Volume 2, but
I don't
finally
remember
Uma Thurman's character gets to the guy who's going to tell her where Bill is so that she can murder him.
Right.
And he goes, I know why you're here. Bill. And he says Bill in this way, and that's how I say Bill in my head.
Yeah.
Is Bill.
You should.
We're gonna put that Bill graphic up on the next episode when we talk about Bill. I love this guy. He was the 4th running back on the depth charts before week 1. And I told Dylan, and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. I thought Eckler was gonna get the workload. That's not what happened. They split the share, and then Eckler gets hurt. Bill scores. Bill, I think, is going to be a huge player this year.
Yeah, it just goes to show you to calm down with the fantasy hype. I mean, Reddit, Twitter, they will all run like Chicken Little. The sky is falling with a depth chart that says he's the 4th running back. Come Sunday, he is the clear-cut number 1 on that team.
I'd have to agree. I hate agreeing with you, and I'd have to agree.
Yeah.
Moving right on to Micah Parsons. Micah, I mean, it's so weird to see him in the green. I'm not used to it yet.
It looks good.
He looks good. He really
It
does.
looks good.
He gets a sack in his first game. He's obviously going to make an impact for this team immediately, and he's not even in the rhythm yet. It's a shame the way it went down in Dallas. But listen, new opportunity. I can't believe they left him in the NFC at all. I would have expected a trade to the AFC, as Jerry Jones is spiteful. He got his haul back, or whatever he believes is great for him. Green Bay has a good defense. I'm not up with this hype that they're an elite defense or a top 5 defense. They were ranked a 20 to 30 ranked overall defense last season. We'll see what they do with Micah. I'm thinking they could maybe crack top 10. I don't know.
Should there be an age limit for GMing? Like, if you're at a law firm, they'll kick you to the curb at 65. Jerry Jones is 127 years old, and he's
double that. He's double that.
I mean, he's essentially not with us anymore, and he's just making some of the most boneheaded moves.
Well, there should be some type of like fan vote for each franchise, where if like 90% of your fans are like, this has to happen, that should be like a board vote.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like on the team.
You're talking about the way the Green Bay Packers are run.
Yeah, sort of, right.
Right.
Green Bay receivers, I mean, I don't even know what to say. Jayden Reed was supposed to be the clear-cut guy last year. Romeo Doubs, now they got Golden. Christian Watson gets injured, also got an extension while he tore his ACL, which is like very admirable of the franchise to do.
Stupid and admirable.
Yeah, like very, very cool thing to do. You don't see that often. I have no idea what to say about the Green Bay receiver room. I think we still have time to watch games and figure out who Jordan Love's number 1 target is. We don't know right now. Moving to the next segment, Bill Belichick hates the New England Patriots. Unbelievable. I still can't get used to this. Micah in the Green Bay outfit, Bill in the UNC, which everybody keeps saying they're reading it as Unk. Bill Belichick is
absolutely,
Unk.
absolutely.
Right? Bill has banned Patriot scouts from all of UNC. He claims that he is not welcome in the Patriots offices, arena, whatever you want to call it, at the organization, which now Mike Vrabel, the coach of the Patriots, has said, well, you were just at Tom Brady's ceremony, whatever that was, the unveiling of the statue. They say that the Patriots have communicated that they're going to release a statue of Bill when he retires, which he has not done. Well, he did retire, then he didn't retire, now he's out, he's back. They're saying Bill is welcome. There's obviously some type of rift between Bill Belichick and Kraft. He's pissed, right? He's pissed.
He's pissed, and in his own words, I mean, he was asked about this at a press conference. Let's listen to Bill talk about his animosity towards the organization.
Comment on that and provide some sort of explanation on that?
Yeah, well, no, it's clear that I'm not welcome there around their facility, and so they're not welcome in ours. Pretty simple.
Over here on the to comment.
And by the way, there's some journalists and people on Twitter who are saying this is juvenile. If that were true, that he was not welcome at the facility, and then his response is, well, then you're not welcome at my facility. I mean, I just wanted you to take this to like neighbors down the street. Imagine you have a neighbor who you regularly, once a month, go and have dinner at their house, and then you host them the following month. And then one day they say, you're not welcome here anymore. I think it is an appropriate response to say, okay, well, then you're not welcome at my house. I don't have any problem with that at all.
Yeah.
The question is Bill telling the truth? Is he actually not allowed or welcome at the facility?
Yeah, no, it's a classic case of you hate me, I hate you. I will say Bill Belichick has always been a little bit of a sassy pants, and I think since doing yoga poses with a 24-year-old girlfriend, he's gotten even more zesty. I mean, the guy is he's just pissed, man.
Do we think that our significant others, maybe the way that they treat us somehow permeates through us, and then you project that onto other people?
Well, if you're as ancient as Bill Belichick is, and you're married to a siren or dating a siren the way that he is, she seems to be somewhat manipulative. So You know, it's a little bit, their relationship reminds me a lot of Stan Lee's handlers pushing him out onto stages at conventions, but he doesn't know where he is. It's quite a sad story.
It is definitely interesting to watch a man of Bill Belichick's character over the last 20, 30 years, the way we've grown up to watch him play football and the way he carries himself to then date this girl, which is like the opposite of everything he spoke to his players.
Yeah.
Moving right along to our favorite receiver in football right now, Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers. Not only did Zay
Crazy.
Flowers score the most fantasy points, Zay Flowers, as we host this show today, has more fantasy points than Calvin Ridley, Nico Collins, McLaurin, Jamar Chase, and A.J. Brown combined. Not more than each of them. If you combined all of their fantasy points, it is less than Zay Flowers. How long does this stand?
Not long. I'm gonna list. Let's go one by one. You tell me if Zay is gonna finish above them. Calvin Ridley.
Yes.
Okay. Nico Collins.
Absolutely not.
Terry McLaurin.
I'm going to say no.
Jamar Chase.
No.
A.J. Brown.
Want to say yes, but I'm going to say no.
Okay.
So, again, 4 of these 5 guys, I'd really be surprised if Zay Flowers has more fantasy points than those guys. Calvin Ridley, the reason I'm giving it to Zay Flowers is, I don't know if you saw Cam Ward week 1. It looks like he's either bowling or maybe he's playing pool at a bar. He's not playing football. All right?
Yeah.
I think he scored 1 or maybe 2 fantasy points. Listen, Denver, hard place to play, right? Hard to breathe. It's just hard breathing there, let alone playing a sport. And they have a great defense. So really, really tough way to start for Cam Ward. Arguably the best defense in the league he had to go up against. We'll see if he can bounce back. Maybe he's playing at home. But you would have thought, okay, Cam Ward gets in the rhythm a little bit with Calvin Ridley. By the way, Calvin Ridley was going up against Defensive Player of the Year,
Surtain.
Pat Surtain,
Yeah.
right? Did he win Defensive Player of the Year? Or did they give it to Garrett?
I don't believe he won Defensive Player of the Year. We can give it a go.
Can we
but
find out who won Defensive Player of the Year last year?
I think it's pretty tough for a rookie quarterback and a wide receiver 1 to get paired up against the Denver Broncos week 1. So give him some time.
Give him some time. So we'll see. But listen, Zay Flowers is playing with Lamar Jackson. Last year, to me, signified that Zay Flowers is a legit receiver for Lamar Jackson, where Lamar Jackson really hasn't had that type of guy. Zay looked great last year. A guy I was playing in fantasy drafted Lamar with Zay, and I was like, damn, this is a stack where you get Zay 10th, 11th, 12th round. Zay climbed the boards this year, and this week 1 performance, I don't understand why you would argue that Zay Flowers doesn't have the potential to catch 5 balls for 75 yards every week as a floor.
Because he's
right?
finished as a wide receiver 31 and 30 in his first 2 seasons, and he's a boomer bust player that is not going to be a top 10 wide receiver.
Well, listen, from our analytics guy, Dill, that's why you can't trust this. But he had a great week 1. Moving right along to the Lions. The fall of the Lions. Is that what we're about to watch? I mean, this is a crazy thing to cover. Lions versus Bears. Amon-Ra doesn't believe in Ben Johnson, his former OC. Amon-Ra was on his podcast filmed in his college dorm and had some words to say about his former offensive coordinator.
We two gonna be so crazy, I promise you. It's gonna be so electric. But as soon as Ben walks in there, we're booing him. I don't give a fuck. We all booing him. Like,
Yeah, he said it's gonna be lit. I'm not gonna lie. And I'm here for it for sure.
I just want to be a fly on the wall in his freaking meeting room, bro. Like, how is he as a head coach? Like, Ben, that is not you, dog. Like, I know you. Like, stop acting like this, Ben. Bro, I want to be a fly on the wall for 1 meeting, just 1.
Nah, bro. You done with Ben now, bro. It's our turn, bro. Chill.
It's your turn. Yep. Y'all got it, man. We two gonna be so crazy.
Okay, well, this is an interesting thing to watch. We're gonna break this down 2 ways, because this is interesting to me because number 1, it's surprising to see a guy like Amon-Ra, wide receiver 1, playing in an offense that was so electric. You would think that these guys have a good relationship, but now it seems like for him to say this, even if he's clowning him as a friend, like it's a little disrespectful.
Yeah, it's very uncouth and it's very impolite, I would say. It's a little wild because in the NFL, usually there's a fair amount of decorum when people leave positions. People have either hushed tones or fairly good tones about people. Kind of nuts for Amon-Ra in his college dorm to just kind of tee off on Ben Johnson. With that being said, the Lions are jacked up to play him. It's going to be a really, really fun game. Detroit's moved from 5.5 to 6-point favorites. Who do you have?
The Bears look so bad. I would never, ever bet on the Bears. They have to go on an insane run and show me something on offense before I could ever bet on the Bears. But moving back to this, the other part I want to talk about with Ben Johnson is what's very interesting to me is that Ben Johnson looked horrible as a head coach. So Amon-Ra maybe has some type of point when he says, that's not you, bruh. I don't know what that means. That's a very vague kind of statement. Like, well, he just got this position. He was such a great offensive coordinator. I don't know if he means his leadership, right?
Well,
like,
and also like to go from Campbell, when you have Campbell as your head coach, an OC will never compare to that. He's the most football guy of all football guys.
Agreed.
So if you're talking about his stature and his leadership, then yeah, of course he's not going to be Dan Campbell. But Ben Johnson can coach in the NFL. Well, I think. We'll see. Give me the Bears. Give me the Bears.
Dylan likes the Bears. But you know what I'll say, though, in addition to all this is after week 1, you got Ben Johnson on the Bears who, like I said, Amon-Ra seemed to have nailed. He did not look like a good head coach. He did not look like he had control of the offense. And that could be potentially because Caleb Williams stinks. If you were to watch the recap of all Caleb Williams' throws, he is missing a lot of throws by way too much, underthrowing it, missing guys. Really didn't like it. Now, the other side of that, though, is the Lions did not look like the offensive powerhouse they've been the last 2 years with Ben Johnson. So, Amon-Ra, maybe you're right, and also maybe you're wrong. Ben Johnson could have been the heartbeat to your entire offense, and we're about to find out because you have a Jahmyr Gibbs, you have David Montgomery, you have Jamison Williams, you have Amon-Ra, you have Sammy Laporta. Goff has looked good in this offense, but this could be one of those situations where he looked good because he had Ben Johnson.
Jared Goff needs a soothsayer at OC for him to be a good quarterback. I don't know if they have that. The Lions look bad. Caleb Johnson looked bad too, but they still lost by a field goal. They lost by a field goal with Caleb Johnson overthrowing DJ Moore by 75 yards at times. So give me the Bears.
Yeah, I'm going to go Lions on this one. I can't bet on the Bears against the Lions. And just based on the history of the Lions the past 2 seasons, they haven't really lost anybody on their roster. So losing your OC and your defensive coordinator, I see how that could change a team. But the Bears haven't done anything. All they do is lose games. They lost that insane game when Tyreek Stevenson was looking into the crowd and Jayden Daniels threw the Hail Mary at the end of the game. This is what they do. They lose games. They're losers. Let's go on to power rankings. Now, this is inflammatory and meant to piss some people off because I'm so sick of a lot of ESPN, Fantasy Guide, Fantasy Pros, all these rankings. This is a real ranking. These are real rankings from a real one. All right? And we're going to go from 10 down to 1. I'm putting at 10 the Pittsburgh Steelers, which, by the way, I've seen some rankings that have came out after I compiled this myself, and the Steelers have cracked the top 10, which I'm impressed with. Aaron Rodgers looked like Aaron Rodgers. He's 41 years old. Guess what? Tom Brady won a Super Bowl at 45. So that doesn't mean because you're 41 you can't play football. The Steelers are one of the most organized facilities in the league, right? You come and it's work. It's about football.
It's
not about
getting to 10 wins and then stopping playing football.
Yeah, well, listen, it's funny that you say that, Dill. Stopping playing football happened once Ben Roethlisberger retired. The amount of quarterbacks they've had since then is a joke.
Well,
right? So they've almost had a turnover in quarterback every single year, from Mitch Trubisky, right, to Justin Fields to Kenny Pickett. All these guys were the wrong guy. Horrible, horrible quarterback room. And now they have Aaron Rodgers, and they still have their defense, which I think everybody's forgetting about. Jalen Ramsey's on the team now, so they've got like a top 5 cornerback. They have a top 5 defensive lineman. They have TJ frickin' Watt.
Ugh.
Like, they have ballers on defense, and if Rodgers doesn't even have to do what he did against the Jets, he needs to put up 250 yards and throw 2 touchdowns and run the ball, and they're going to be in every game.
Yeah, they're going to be in every game. Unfortunately, they can't really run the ball. And the thing that made Aaron Rodgers so good is his scrambling ability and ability to find people rolling. Nobody did it like him. It doesn't seem like his legs work anymore really all that well. So we'll see.
Yeah, and he did say that his back was giving him his back was on the fritz last game.
Yeah.
That's why he couldn't move. But for somebody who can't move, the play action looked pretty good. So they're coming in at number 10. Number 9, I'm going to go with the Vikings. And the reason I'm giving the Vikings this 9 spot is legacy. Last year, they won 14 games. I question J.J. McCarthy coming in, not sticking with Darnold. What I saw from J.J. McCarthy, though, in the second half of Monday Night Football was incredible. He's sold me for now. I'm a believer in J.J. McCarthy. We'll see how they do, but their defense is no joke. Minnesota's defense is no joke. Remember, the Bears were leading majority of the game. The Vikings did not allow any drive. They punted on 6 straight drives in the second half. So shows you what the Vikings defense is capable of.
And they've got a football guy. They
have the best receiver in the league. They have 2 solid running backs in Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. They also have Jordan Addison returning week 4. Right? They got Thielen back, and they have TJ Hawkinson. These guys have a lot of playmakers. Vikings are definitely going to be hanging around.
Is there anywhere else you'd rather be?
We're all going to be saying that all year. J.J. McCarthy, incredible. Moving right along to our 8th spot, the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a pick that's tough because of what they did against the Browns. You want to see the Bengals win 31-14 against the Browns, and they squeaked out an 18-17 point win, or 17-16, whatever the final score of that game was. But I'm giving it to, if Jamar Chase is going to have no catches for 3 fantasy points, and you have Joe Burrow, and you have T. Higgins, and you have Chase Brown, high-powered offense. They got Trey Hendrickson back on the defensive side of the ball. I'm putting the Bengals at a questionable 8 with, I'd have to assume that's going to drop for next week. In the 7th spot, I'm going to put the Packers. The Packers, again, you get Micah Parsons. You beat your division rival, the Lions, the way you did. Pretty impressive. You did it at home. But I'm not going anywhere above 7 for the Packers. And you're going to say, oh, well, Dappz, you can't put the Chiefs above the Packers. Of course you can. Of course you can. I would never, ever in my life believe that if the Packers played the Chiefs, that the Packers would be the favorite. It's not happening. Patrick Mahomes is going to scorch the Packers' earth 8 days a week.
And here's a twist that doesn't make any sense. The next team, who is evidently better than the Chiefs, are the Bolts. These rankings make no sense.
Well, listen, I had to give the reason I had to put the Bolts in, what is this, the 6th spot? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spot. So the Chiefs were the 6th spot, Chargers the 5 spot. The reason I'm putting the Chargers in the 5 spot is because of the way they played against the Chiefs. Very, very impressive. I love Herbert. I've always loved Herbert. It looks like he's finally in the system that he's deserved. I don't know if you know who the coach was before Harbaugh. He was a bonehead. He was an idiot. I hated that guy. Not Bruce Staley. What was his name? Somebody look up his name. The defensive guy. Horrible coaching decisions. He single-handedly lost them playoff games, single-handedly lost them games to make the playoffs. Brandon Staley. Oh, my God, I hated that guy so much. Really ruined and kind of stalled out Herbert's career. Now Herbert, oh, my God, he's got 2 running backs. He's got Hampton, this young kid, and he's got Najee. Harbaugh loves to run the ball. Guess what? He's got 3 receivers he can throw the ball to. Keenan Allen, who he obviously has chemistry with. McConkey, who is, the next Wes Welker, Julian Edelman. I don't know what you want to compare him to.
If they were tall.
If he were tall, or if they were tall, rather. And he's got Quentin Johnston, who just figured out how to catch week 1. So
JD in the chat says Bolts beat the Chiefs. Makes sense. I'm curious to see if it sticks. I mean, we'll see.
yeah, and listen, I like the Chargers all year long. I think they can hang with anybody with Herbert. I think Herbert is an elite quarterback. That's the only reason I'm giving this. And the combination of, by the way, Harbaugh, who brought the Niners to the Super Bowl out of nowhere when they stunk. He did it with Colin Kaepernick. The combination of Kaepernick and Alex Smith, which is a joke. And then he goes to Michigan and wins a national championship for Michigan. Harbaugh is a winner, okay? And you pair him with Herbert, I like the team. And to watch him beat Mahomes, pretty impressive. Moving right along to the Commanders. The reason I'm putting the Commanders in the 4th spot is I don't really care you beat the Giants. That doesn't mean anything. That literally means less than nothing.
Such a Glaze pick.
But the reason I'm putting the Commanders in it's not a Glaze pick.
It's a Glaze pick.
Listen, what did they do last year? They came into Detroit after beating, who did they beat in the first round? The Bucs?
The Bucs.
They beat the Bucs, right? Everybody wrote them off. They were not a favorite to beat the Bucs. And then they beat the Lions, who, by the way, remember, were the number 1 seed.
I remember.
So Commanders doing that last season, and then they obviously lose to the Eagles because Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, that team is just far superior to the Commanders. But that's why I'm going to give them the 4th spot, because you got to knock them off. And by the way, if the Packers beat the Commanders, the Packers would probably be somewhere around the 4th spot based on what other games go down. Definitely not in the top 3 though. Bills coming in at 3. Everybody is going to go, this is ridiculous, Dappz. They should be number 1. They should be number 2. Listen, the Ravens dominated that game. They dominated the game, and the reason I'm putting this in place the way it is because I believe the Ravens are going to continue to dominate the game. The Bills needed 2 miraculous acts from the Holy Spirit and the Lord above, which was a Derrick Henry fumble, which I don't know if we're going to see that for the rest of the season now.
Maybe one other time.
Honestly, like if Derrick Henry does not fumble the rest of the season, I won't be surprised. And then in addition to that, they needed Keon Coleman to catch a tipped ball touchdown on 4th down to save their chances of remaining in the game. So those two, if one of those 2 things doesn't happen, the Bills don't win the game. I think the Ravens are the better team. Bills stole one. Good work. And I'm not saying that the Bills can't jump into the 1 spot, but at the moment, Bills are 3, Ravens are 2, and then moving right along. And by the way, if everybody who wants to argue with this pick, if the Bills and Ravens had played separate games and they didn't play each other, the Ravens probably would have beat every other team in the league by 30 points. And by the way, the Bills might have done the same thing, but the Ravens with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, it's just scary. And then moving right along to the number 1 Super Bowl defending champion Eagles, who made minced meat of the sad pony boy Dallas Cowboys. And I don't know who's going to beat the Eagles anytime soon.
The Eagles are a team that they're absolutely terrifying to think about. When you have systems that are that sturdy and that dependable, you just feel at a loss playing them. There's just not a lot you can do. The tush push, Jalen, Saquon, their receivers are incredible. Their defense is probably the best thing about them. I mean, they're just a horrifying team to go up against.
And by the way, these rankings are going to get real mixed up next week because you have the Chiefs playing the Eagles this week. So again, if the Chiefs were to beat the Eagles this week, do you believe that catapults them into the 1 spot, or do you think? Because again, let's just play this out real quick. The Bills beat the Jets this week. Right? I think everybody thinks that's going to happen. And then the Chiefs beat the Eagles. Now the Bills are 2-0. Chiefs are 1-1. Do you give the power rankings edge to the Bills or the Chiefs in that situation?
I would have everything remain the way it is. The Chiefs are that you do not like an eyeball test. You hate an eyeball test. Okay. So the Packers are at 7 or wherever they're at. The Chargers are above the Chiefs. The Chiefs did not pass the eyeball test for me. Did not look good. Mahomes was, this cutesy stuff. I should say I'm not an impartial juror here. I absolutely loathe this team. They're a disgusting organization that is quasi criminal. So no, they're going to stay where they are.
quasi-criminal. Got it. Okay. So anyway, Rashee Rice obviously is out for 6 weeks, and then Xavier Worthy gets injured on, crossing around the first play, second play.
Yeah.
So losing your top 2 receivers week 1 obviously is going to mess with your game plan. Obviously, they didn't game plan to have Rashee Rice in the game, but they did game plan to have Xavier Worthy. Hollywood Brown ends up with 16 targets.
16.
So obviously their game plan is going to be a little bit different this week. Are they going to go heavier towards Hollywood? I think Kelsey obviously has to get more looks now.
Yeah, and
right?
maybe they'll run the ball more than 9 times.
Yeah, that was a little odd too. Pacheco, not a lot of use. You also have Kareem Hunt, who for the most part has been pretty impressive in his return to the Chiefs. So you got 2 solid running backs. If the Chiefs though do beat the Eagles, who are the Super Bowl champions, it's going to be a very, very weird power rankings next week, because it also, by the way, the Bills and the Ravens are playing the Browns and the Jets. So these are like layup wins for these guys, and it's difficult to give the edge to the Bills or the Ravens in the rankings, right, if you haven't beat a really good team. And the Bills did beat the Ravens, but they just dominated that game.
The thing about the Chiefs is it's coaching. There's just the coaching is just
so far superior.
It's so far superior to any other team in the league. It's just scary how good the coaching is.
I'd have to listen. There's been a lot of Sirianni hate, but you got to give him his flowers now too. When we're talking about coaching, Nick Sirianni, he's taken his team to the Super Bowl twice in the last 3 or 4 years, and he's a Super Bowl champion. So we've made videos on our TikTok channel. Again, I hope you guys check out all the TikToks we've produced over the last couple of weeks. We did one that's like 500,000 views, clowning the Bills-Ravens game. Another one clowning the J.J. McCarthy situation. That's on this page you're watching right now. And it's just Sirianni. We'll probably make some more jokes about him. Eagles fans hate him. They love him. They want him gone. He won you a Super Bowl. Have some gratitude.
Tomorrow.
Guys, we're back tomorrow, 12 o'clock.
Fight night.
Oh, my God. There's fights?
Big fight look ahead tomorrow.
Versus Terrence?
Yeah, and we've got a UFC card.
All right, guys, we're going to be going over some boxing. We're going to be going over some UFC tomorrow. It's been an absolute pleasure. That's it for us today. Make sure you're watching the cookbook. Make sure you're watching General Managers. Make sure you join our breaks. Watch Up or Down if you like sports cards. We'll be back on tomorrow at 12 p.m. This is Dappz Live. I am Dappz. That's Dylan.